How's it going, everyone? This is GWR Studios, and today we are going to be finding some more goofs in Thomas and Friends. Today's episode is saved from Scrap. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so at the beginning of the episode, we see the engines working hard in the yard. But there's a goof in this scene. Watch Gordon as he heads off into the distance. Just before the next scene, Gordon comes to a complete stop. One day, Edward was heading to the scrapyard on his branch line.
I'm going to the scrapyard today. What, already? You're not that old. Thomas was only teasing.
Now wait just a second. In the previous scene, we could see Thomas's driver by the door, but in the very next scene, the driver is gone. Anyway, Edward heads off to the scrapyard. The scrapyard had rusty old parts and machinery, and Edward had to haul the rusty parts to the steelworks. But on this particular day, Edward saw an unusual sight.
Hello, said Edward. What are you doing here?
The traction engine's name is Trevor, and he tells Edward that they're about to break him into pieces.
They're going to break me up next week. What a shame.
Trevor tells Edward that even though he still runs, his owner thought he was too old-fashioned and decided to get rid of him. Edward tells Trevor that he can relate to him because a lot of people call him old-fashioned too.
What work did you do?
And here comes the next goof. If we look at Edward's boiler, we can see that there's a chip in it. Trevor tells Edward about the work he used to do. Back in the day, Trevor used to travel from farm to farm. He was a hard worker and enjoyed giving the children rides.
Oh, yes, I like children.
Edward then headed to the station. He felt sorry for Trevor.
Broken up, what a shame. Broken up, what a shame.
And here comes another goof. Look at the face that Edward has on. That's a Donald and Douglas face.
It's a shame. It's a shame.
As Edward went to the station, he tried to think of a way to save Trevor. Beep, beep. That's not Edward's whistle. That's Thomas's whistle. Edward's whistle sounds like this. Another goof that could have easily been avoided.
Why didn't I think of him before?
As Edward approaches the station, we can see the track move. When Edward arrived at the station, he saw the perfect person to save Trevor. It was the vicar.
Hello, Edward. You look upset. What's the matter, Charlie?
Charlie, 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 Charlie.
Charlie tells the vicar about the situation that Trevor is in.
Jem Cole says he never drove a better engine.
Edward begged the vicar to save Trevor.
Do save him, sir. He saws wood and gives children rides.
The vicar isn't sure, but he says he'll take a look. A few days later, Jem Cole tells Trevor that the vicar is coming to see him.
Maybe he'll buy you. Do you think he will?
And here comes another goof. If you look at the top of Trevor, you can see a little piece of hair. Later that evening, the vicar and his two boys arrived to see Trevor. He was feeling great, but there's something in this scene that really bugs me. Why is Trevor not releasing any steam? He goes forwards and backwards, but we don't see any steam coming out of his stack. So after the vicar drives Trevor, he decides that he'd like to buy him.
I've got him cheap, Jem. Cheap.
Look at the vicar's cheek. There's a big chip in it.
Do you hear that, Trevor? The Reverend saved you, and you'll live at the vicarage now.
Trevor now lives in the vicarage orchard, and he gets to see Edward every day. Trevor loves his new work, but his favorite day of the year is giving rides at the church fair.
Long afterward, you'll see him shut his eyes, remembering. I like children.
And this marks the end of the episode. Okay, you guys, so those were all the goofs that I found in Saved from Scrap. I'm starting to wonder if there's ever going to be a Thomas episode with no goofs. Now remember, if you saw a goof that I didn't point out, leave a comment below and let me know. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you real soon.